And I would tell you that the biggest takeaway for me is that SEOs that want to stay in their lane and do their thing and actually have a lot of great data and knowledge that, you know, are well underpaid in a huge like the amount of data from traditional marketing, and like the reason that people or CROs or executive suite throw money into paid ads is they can measure it. And SEOs haven't done a good job of tying it to revenue because it's a little bit abstract, right? Of like how to tie it and how it influences it. And the best case studies I have, okay, which I need to like publish them. I need to get on that and publish them, but are really reverse case studies. Like, so I don't have as good of data of like this measured this if like I can't tie it to the data points. But what I can show is if you lose keyword rankings for certain keywords, or like, for example, I have like a private equity brand and there's a bunch of different brands and they're like, okay, we need to focus on this one brand. And I basically took all the budget and focused on that one brand and kind of let the others kind of shrink based on the layout of the website, right? Like we're going to really focus on this because it's too noisy. We don't know how to categorize it, all this kind of stuff. Their revenues dropped dramatically. And I'm like, you had other lead funnels coming in, but the brand presence is so important. And it's like, how do you measure like, or that like a lawyer with tort or whatever, like the brand being there when people research. And I'm even seeing this in similar web data. People are going to the website. They're of course searching you on Google. They're checking now. One of the key sources from similar web that I'm seeing on a number of brands is like Grok or ChatGPT. That's like the out. So people find out about you, whatever way it is, but then they go research you and they want to see like, where is that authority? Where is that expertise? Where's that trust? How is that website presenting it? And if you don't have those right things and you aren't, hitting on the hot buttons or positioning right, it's affecting revenue on the backside. Just like the other example with the keywords, if you lose certain keywords or categories or, fan out too much and it's not focused, they feel the reverse impact a lot more than the incremental increase. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's been weird. But it's these like reverse case studies where I see the value in the data of where that risk factor is if we don't do this versus here's what we would get if we do this.
Well, and I think and I'm going to say this and make this disclaimer for anyone who's tuning in at this minute and didn't hear what we just talked about 10 minutes ago, but I'm not advocating for old SEO, but obviously a big part of content and context driven and authority building SEO forever has been quality content. And so if you've got stale content, outdated content out there, even on a page that you think might get one visit a year, but it still needs to be out there because it's a service you have, or it's still a blog post for that super long tail one person right fit prospect that might come in, and it's worthy of staying on your site, make sure it's updated, make sure it's accurate, because that whole complete picture still matters. And so, yeah, you can't go into, okay, we got to prune everything, but at the same time, we can't, like in the old days, neglect all this old content out here either, because that complete picture is being judged exponentially more by AI than it even was by Google, who would have to fan out and eventually see it and put the picture together in a more longer term way.
I think you just said it, the complete picture, right? That is what AI is doing, is really grabbing the complete picture and looking at it from all these different angles. And so you have to think about everything. And then even going back to my earlier point to highlight a little bit more, when you said at the very beginning, you're like, I went through this phase, you said that you were a digital marketer. And I actually think it's very, very difficult today, unless you work at a very large company, which there's a lot of issues with siloing and everything as you go bigger and red tape. But if you're not a digital marketer, at least have that surface level understanding, like the previous experience with the agency of doing all these other things make you better at SEO. make you better at kind of like the information capture, or the information organization, or discovery process, because they all impact it. They're all woven together. They're not siloed. And I just think it's SEOs really need to improve their language about how they're communicating about what they're doing. And I honestly think that the KPIs are what's holding everybody back, and
Yeah.
rethinking through what the real KPIs are of how do we measure this and have more kind of boardroom language um, is going to change the game. And I feel like SEOs have the most data. Now, some of it's siloed and bringing it all together. And again, AI helps with that. But being able to articulate that data is where the gap is.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly it. That goes getting, and that's the hardest part. Again, to get comfortable going outside of your comfort zone of this is what I know. Now I got to enter into somebody else's territory or find the gray area where nobody owns the KPIs,